All right, guys, let's talk about Gevo's earnings. I was able to read it and then listen to the call while I was out jogging. That's why I got the shirt here. And at the very beginning, the stock went down hard, and then after hours, it went back up. Let's just get into the earnings. So the first thing I want to point out is the revenue, which is probably the original reason the stock dropped in the first place. Now, this may come as a surprise to a lot of you. I know you're going to be shocked when you see this, but Gevo did not make revenue. Once again, Gevo has missed revenue. And this was due to the whole carb delay and all that stuff. Now, they did indicate that they have 4.2 million of value in inventory in the 2023. Now, I listened to the first part of the call in which he talked about that. It says it down here too. So somewhere in either first quarter or second quarter, unless the LCFS keeps getting delayed, like they should start getting some of that revenue in. Now, I know they talked about delaying it for a month or something like that, but 2023, so either the next quarter or the quarter after that, we should actually see some real revenue. And when this 4.2 million gets translated into actual revenue, like actual on an income statement, I will be happy. So once this goes over here, I'll be happy, and not before. Now, the rest of the earnings is pretty good, I think. It shows. Now, if you're new here, one of the reasons why those of us who are in the Gevo, it isn't for what they're doing now. It isn't for how they've been performing. Most certainly not. All they do is miss revenue, and in most cases, EPS. We're not buying it for this. The reason we're buying Gevo is because they have a bunch of high-profile customers that have signed on, and in 2025, once the Net Zero 1 plan is built and all that stuff, they're expected to rake in $2.8 billion a year in revenue. Now, the last corporate presentation, I think, had this at 2.5. So this keeps getting better as more companies sign on. And based off of what I read and heard, like everything seems to be on track. Like they say right here, they've been predicting a 2025 operational startup, and every earnings I've read and watched since, they've been on track, and they continue to be so. They closed the purchase of land this year. They signed a bunch of agreements. They broke ground, and throughout this year, they're expected to continue building out the Net Zero 1 plant, and they're also going to start building the Net Zero 2 plant, which is, they have to build more plants in order to service all of the demand that they're getting. So that's why we're in the Gevo, is for, the gains that are to be had in 2025. And everything seems to point to them being on track. That's the important thing. And so far, they continue to execute on that. Now, for the short term, I am a little angry about the whole RNG LCFS thing. Like, I'm a little like the libertarian in me. Like, I kind of wish they didn't need this stuff to make revenue. But hey, as a shareholder, it is what it is. Now, let's take a look at some of the numbers to close out this video. Now, there is more, but it all boils down to we're all on track, which is what everyone who's in the Gevo right now for the long term wants to hear, and they are on track. Let's take a look at the balance sheet. They increased their cash holding, which is always a good sign. Assets are up, liabilities are down, so I can't be mad at the balance sheet, especially for a company that is, still emerging. If we take a look at the operating revenues, now one thing I do want to point out is that if you take a look at the 12 months, now I know this isn't a lot to brag about, so by the 12 months, and if you look at the revenue versus last year, like they are getting better. It's just not to analyst expectations yet. So they are improving. But if you take a look at 2022, 1.1 million, that actually beats the low estimate of the current year. So I guess for us Gevo shareholders, I'll take the wins as I get them. I'll take whatever wins I can get. But so far, operator revenues are inching their way up. And as long as the LCFS thing goes through, in the first quarter or next quarter, then we should start seeing some actual gains from the RNG stuff. Like, they already got a customer with BP. Everything's all ready. They just need to get that approval and start collecting that money. Now, the loss from operations is greater, as is the net loss. But for an emerging company that's been putting a lot of money into this, these net zero one plant and all that stuff, that's to be expected. So I'm not too worried about this as long as their balance sheet continues to hold, which we just saw it is. So all in all, I am a bit disappointed short term as far as the revenue and all that stuff. And I really, like I said, I really don't like them being so dependent on LCFS short term in order to make money. But hey, I mean, they're on track in every other way. As far as their long-term goals of a 2025 startup, they're doing all the right things. The product is on track. They continue to rake in new customers. So as long as they build the Net Zero 1 plant, and I guess the Net Zero 2 plant on time, like 2025, we should be raking in the money, and that vision and their progress has not changed. So what did you think about the earnings? Let me know in the comments. But anyways, take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.